The way they
Yeah, it
say
could be.
in moments of quiet, don't forget to explore the enclosure, especially with a certain hunter at your side. That makes me think there's going to be like some sort of teaser or little Easter egg hidden throughout the town takeover.
So what that gives us is a lot of information on Loba's character.
Hey guys, Sethley here, back with another SquadCast podcast, episode number 16. And we've got a lot of pretty cool topics to cover in this podcast since so much was just released. Surprisingly, after April Fools, we actually have gotten quite a bit of stuff to talk about regarding Bloodhound, and I'm pretty excited about this. So let's just go ahead and start off with the first thing that we really got. Obviously, we knew a lot of the stuff was in previously found in files, and we knew something about Bloodhound, like a town takeover was coming, but obviously now it's confirmed, it's official. We got a teaser sort of thing in game, like an Easter egg almost, with the in the area of what's it called, Sniper's Ridge, and then there were a bunch of construction flags and a dead prowler in game. So what do you guys think about the way they did that?
I think it was pretty cool because a lot of people, I think it answered questions as to where this town takeover was going to be, and also it's something that I thought prowlers were so far like down the road. I didn't think it would be coming anytime soon. So the fact that that was kind of answered really quickly, like we had these leaks, but we thought maybe this will be in a campaign mode or maybe a PvE mode, months down the road from now, maybe even a year or so. I think it was really cool to see those leaks come to fruition so soon. But I like the way that they did that, though, because it kind of gives you an idea of what this is going to be like with the town takeover now that they've also explained it since they've released the cinematic.
Yeah, I agree with you. I just overall like the fact that even if it is something as small as like putting a little hint towards what Bloodhound's town takeover is going to be like with the Prowler being in game, even if it's just a little bit of content that they're adding, like when they added like the gold Mozambique for April Fool's Day, or the Prowler in game for the Bloodhound town takeover as a little teaser. I like that, and I like that it's coming quicker than we thought it would.
I definitely enjoy how they always tease things. It gives a little more hype to things, which I can't get mad at. But speaking of, you did mention the cinematic trailer, which I want to get into a little bit later. But with that cinematic trailer for Bloodhound, the new stories from the Outlands that was released, it was called The Old Ways. They also released like a little announcement page, almost like patch notes for the event, and they gave us some more descriptions about things. But more specifically, they gave us a better description of the town takeover besides just going off of like the teaser that we previously saw. So I'll get into that right now, and then I want to get your guys' thoughts. So it's going to be called Bloodhound's Trials. And what they said exactly was, when the Apex games came to World's Edge, large predators vacated the area, leading to an explosion in the prowler population. Most were traced to a nest in the northwest portion of the arena, and here Bloodhound saw an opportunity, maintain the ecosystem by pitting humans against beasts. Dive into Bloodhound's Trials, where you and your squad battle against a horde of prowlers and claim high-tier loot as your reward. But beware the most dangerous game, fellow legends who want to scavenge those goods for themselves. In moments of quiet, don't forget to explore the enclosure, especially with a certain hunter at your side. Now, there are definitely a few things in those sentences that like jump out at me that could be a lot of big things. So what do you guys think about them?
I
The
think
first
they
thing, go
definitely,
go Miles.
I think they definitely went ahead and kind of made it clear that this is going to be, I won't say another Skull Town, but it's going to be a hot landing spot. Considering they said that the scariest thing there is the amount of people that are going to be there trying to fight for that loot as well. So I think they made it clear that the loot here should be good, considering they called it high tier loot, and they also said that you're going to have a lot of people here trying to fight with you. So I think it's going to be a pretty hot POI.
Yeah, and
Most
the
definitely.
sentence at the end where they say, "Don't forget to explore the enclosure, especially with a certain hunter at your side." I think they're kind of hinting that Bloodhound is going to be really good in this scenario. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure how big of a fan everybody is of Bloodhound. I know I am, but I think that's kind of what they're hinting at when they say, especially with a certain hunter at your side.
Yeah, that part really popped out to me as well. It made me think, though. I'm not too sure if there have been leaks about this, about like some sort of Easter egg within the Bloodhound Town takeover, or maybe that was just the teaser that was leaked that I'm thinking of. But The way they
Yeah,
say
it could be.
in moments of quiet, don't forget to explore the enclosure, especially with a certain hunter at your side. That makes me think there's going to be like some sort of teaser or little Easter egg hidden throughout the town takeover, similar to Mirage's town takeover with the big ship or whatever it was, the Mirage Voyage. There was a little cell phone hidden beneath the rocks below it, where we got a little bit more lore about Mirage and his relationship with his mother, I'm pretty sure. So the way they say, don't forget to explore the enclosure, especially with a certain hunter at your side, maybe that's like hinting towards a little Easter egg or teaser that's going to be hidden in the town takeover that only Bloodhound will be able to find, like maybe with a scan,
Yeah.
like the tactical or something like that. That's at least what I was thinking. What do you guys think about that idea?
I think you're in the right thinking in the right way with the scan that they might add a certain type of item, whether it's a probably not a weapon, but just
No,
something
no,
in
no,
general,
like just like a
like a
teaser,
key
like
or something like
yeah.
that. I don't know. Something where the scan would be able to see that through the wall or something like that. I'm just trying to come up with something that, because it sounds like Bloodhound is gonna be the one who's gonna be able to find that certain thing, or you're gonna want playing with you in your squad.
I'm hoping it's more like a audio log like they've had previously with the Wraith event. There was like the little audio you could go back in the back room and play that, and then as well with the Mirage and a few other times. So I think that's what
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. I'm not too sure if that's actually going to be a thing, but as far as I remember, they usually have something little extra within town takeovers. So definitely looking forward to something like that. And
That's
also,
probably what it's gonna be for
yeah, I mean,
Bloodhound,
I hope
is
so at
some
least.
sort of audio log.
But then there's also the factor of the town takeover that is the prowlers, which is really interesting to me. I'm just wondering, because the way they described it was kind of confusing for me. They didn't really tell us we were going to be getting like a new mode or anything for the event, which they typically usually do. But obviously we're getting duos, which is going to be awesome. Duos alongside map rotation, being able to choose Kings Canyon or World's Edge for pubs, which is going to be awesome.
Permanent
Yeah,
duos.
permanent. That's permanent,
guys.
as well as the permanent map rotation. But they said something like, what is it? Large predators vacated the area, leading to an explosion in the prowler population. But then it says dive into Bloodhound's trials, where you and your squad battle against a horde of prowlers and claim high tier loot as your reward. Which makes me think like that literally sounds like an LTM to me, like a PVE type thing. What do you guys think about
Oh
that?
yeah.
Do you think we'll actually be able to kill prowlers in game? I'm honestly kind of confused about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it definitely sounds like, that we'll be able to play against prowlers, or there'll be some kind of limited time mode, which I'm looking forward to. And they said that this is going to be a huge patch. So we're going to probably see a lot of buffs, a lot of different changes to the meta. And I'm really excited to have something different. So I hope it is an LTM like that, or it's not just the town takeover, because I enjoy the LTMs a lot.
Oh yeah, especially when they're new and something that we haven't seen before. Which, if this text does actually turn out to be an LTM, it sounds like we'd be getting an entirely new LTM where we'd be fighting literally against a horde of prowlers. So that's obviously something we've never had before.
Yeah, and it's something that like I'm still kind of always trying to find something to tie back into those old campaign leaks. And so everything that we had on the Prowlers, I just assumed Prowlers had no place for the battle royale scene. But I didn't obviously think about things like the Prowlers being in the town takeover and being a part of the game, like Flyers. For instance, how Flyers are able to just kind of fly around the map and be able to get loot boxes from them. I wonder if the Prowlers are guarding a loot box. Do they just drop the loot, or how are they like guarding a room or something? How exactly is that going to work? Is the moral of the game to just kill the prowlers, or is it still the battle royale? How is the prowlers really going to change this game mode at all? And I wonder if the loot's going to be that good to where it's like people make it a habit. Hey bro, we've got to take Bloodhound trials right here. We've got to get this high tier loot. Or is it just like, hey, do we want to land here or we want to land there? If it's something that's really, really good loot, it may be something that could even change the meta because it's so necessary for people to land there.
Yeah, like a vault key or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking it was going to be. Like, I didn't really think of it being an LTM mode because mainly I would expect them to, at least in the announcement about the event, they would say something about the LTM. because typically they do. So what I was thinking is, like you guys said earlier, like a vault, but maybe it's guarded by prowlers. Maybe that's just the town takeover area. There's just a special area like a vault with high tier loot, but it's guarded by prowlers, and maybe you have to kill them to get into it. I'm not too sure, but it does sound like something similar to what we had with Flyers, or what we have with Flyers, since we have Kings Canyon back now. Recently, it's obviously April 2nd when we're recording this. I'm pretty sure this will come out April 3rd or 4th, but I definitely wanted to hear you guys' thoughts on the April Fool's Gold Mozambique, because I thought that was just such a cool little addition they did. I didn't expect it at all. What do you guys think about that?
I thought it was super cool, but the thing is, I feel like the Mozambique was so cool that I think it would have made it kind of sparked a new idea. I think it would have made for a really cool LTM. And I'm not saying like, a week long, like, oh, we got to create a whole event all because they decided to pull out of Mozambique. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is they could just randomly say, hey guys, we're just this weekend, we're going to throw in Mozambiques only. And it's going to be, not necessarily like the entire battle royale has to be Mozambiques, but maybe like a small event, like where we have the train. I think the train, how many people did the train have? Like nine people in the entire lobby.
Yeah.
So it was a small lobby, and you could do maybe like the gold Mozambiques for April Fools on like a train mode kind of thing, or something that's just really small where people can just continuously respawn and just have fun with the new weapons that they're throwing in, just a way to relax and chill and, kind of take a break from maybe just stressing out over the typical battle royale.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that one, but I was just overall just hyped to wake up and there was actually something new for April Fools, because as I recall last year, they didn't do anything for April Fools, but I made a video, which is pretty funny. I made a video last April Fools in 2019 saying that there was a new gun and it was the Gold Mozambique, which actually came true a year later on April Fools, which is just absolutely insane. They added in
I remember that.
Yeah. So I literally called it. I guessed that they would do that, but I was just making it up, which is honestly kind of funny. But I really liked
pretty good guess.
Hey, thank you. But I really liked the whole idea of that Gold Mozambique. I was surprised to see it didn't have hammer points, but it was doing big damage. It was fully auto. 9 bullets. I actually really liked it. I wouldn't be too mad if they added that into the game. Is just imagine if it was an airdrop weapon, kind of similar to how they used to have in, I think it was the beginning of season 2. They added in the L-Star, and then there was also the disruptors and RE45s on the airdrop as well, so you get like 2 weapons. I think it'd be pretty cool if they were to add like the Gold Mozambique as like a side thing in the airdrops. But it might be a little OP, not gonna lie.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
it was really OP.
It could be, just, you never know. Like, it could be just a slight test to maybe say, how could we buff the Mozambique? Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that could be what it is. But as of right now, I don't know if it's me personally, but I think the hammer points are really good. Like, they're like steady balanced where they're at. They're not too OP and they're not bad. But I kind of think like the Mozambique as of right now is like in a good spot with hammer points. Although P2020 I think is better personally.
Yeah, I agree.
I was just thinking overall, just to touch back on the Golden Mozambique fully auto Golden Mozambique that they did for April Fools. I'm on the same page as you, Seth. I'm just happy that we woke up to new content, and that even if it was only there for a day or something like that, just to mess around because it was April Fools, it was new content. It was something small, but it was content. And I like that, and I think Respawn is definitely heading in the right direction with that.
Most definitely true. Speaking of heading in the right direction, I'd say they're probably one of the best companies, or at least games, with trailers and cinematics. I honestly can't even think of any other game that has anything like Apex does, besides I think maybe League of Legends. I think League has some sort of YouTube series where they have like actual animations similar to Apex. But I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on the new stories from the Outlands. It was like 10 minutes long, and it was all about Bloodhound. It was called The Old Ways. What do you guys think about that? Because it's a lot of lore, and I really liked it. The animation was super cool, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts.
I really liked the one thing. I always say this. I always say this. The animation itself was just so good. Like, dude, the storytelling is so good. Like the actual camera angles are so good for this animation. Like Bloodhound's not a character I've ever particularly just like been excited for or always cared about, but it's almost like the show that they put on is just so addicting the way they do it. I wasn't even like interested really with Bloodhound. Just watching, I felt like I just wanted to get addicted to whatever TV show I'm watching. You know, I was like, oh, what TV show is this? I want to binge watch this. Like they just do such a good job with these animations and these cinematic little films. So I really thought, like, obviously the production level was super good, but it also helped me to understand more about Bloodhound and, you know, Bloodhound's story specifically. And also, I didn't realize, this is going to sound dumb, but I didn't realize like Bloodhound's suit, I guess you'd say, like the mask that he wears, the hat that he wears, or the little whatever he puts on the top, or whatever you want to call it. Like I didn't realize that it all had a meaning, like because of his tribe, the way that he, or where Bloodhound comes from. So it's just really cool to see the backstory of Bloodhound and to know that it's not just, you know, another legend in the game, but you know, Bloodhound has a story like everyone else does. There's a lore that ties back to Bloodhound's beginnings and what he.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing about the mask and the whole I wouldn't say costume, but just like outfit, I guess. That was something really cool, like a little addition on at the end. They showed Bloodhound putting on their I guess it's a mask, but it was more, I like the part how it kind of was each in different parts. Like they had the goggles on from the beginning, and then they had to use the gas mask during the fight at the end. Spoiler alert, when they froze the, I'm not too sure, I heard it's called a Goliath. Yeah, they froze the Goliath in the tunnel, and then they had to pick up the gas mask to cover their face, which I didn't really understand. That kind of broke logic a little bit. Like, how are they not gonna freeze if they put on a gas mask? Like,
well, see how it works. No, it's pretty simple. How it works is you just simply, when you mix CO2, I'm just kidding.
I hate you. I hate you. I totally believe you there.
Yeah. Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
We got. And it's April 2nd. Oh, no.
I was kind of laughing at that. Like, I mean, if you're freezing on the outside, how's the mask going to protect you if that's only like poison and gases and things like that? But I just really like that whole idea of giving a little backstory and explanation as to why Bloodhound looks the way they do, with the gas mask, the goggles, and then like a skull type thing on their head, which I thought was really cool, that aspect of the trailer. But other than that, there isn't.
Sorry to interrupt real quick, because I'm kind of confused. Isn't Bloodhound's mask like some sort of like old like witch doctor sort of mask?
No, it's like a gas
one
mask.
of the skins.
Yeah, it's like a gas mask.
One of the skins they have the Plague Doctor mask, but no, the default skin is.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, the Plague Doctor one. But the default one is the one we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
That skin though is actually pretty sick. I really like that one. The Plague Doctor. Did they actually use that mask during the plague?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, they would put incense inside of it to protect them from breathing in the plague. Which obviously didn't work.
Okay. I was like, that sounds pretty interesting.
I have that skin. I have Plague Doctor. I got it on before I started
jealous,
playing.
Man.
I wish I had it on PC. I started out playing it on console and I got it, and now I don't have it anymore because I'm playing on PC. So I'm thinking.
And the skins that they're going to release for this event for Bloodhound look pretty badass. I'm pretty excited about the skins.
Yeah.
I don't know about the whole let's recolor skins and bring that back. That is that's an interesting thing.
Yeah, I feel like it takes away from also like the OGs of saying, "Oh, bro, you know, we were here for X amount of days long, or X amount of months long at this point, and you know, we've got these old OG skins." I feel like that kind of makes them so special because nobody has them, but the people that played back then, and now for them to just bring some of them back, it kind of, it doesn't really matter. I think it's smart on their part because a lot of people are going to buy it. But at the same time, I don't like how you can't use your legend tokens to buy the recolors, which is a little disappointing. But I do think the Bloodhound skins do look super sick, and also would like to see a Bloodhound skin of them not having the topper on at all, like where you could see Bloodhound's like head during where Bloodhound just had on the goggles, like a how would you say, like a deconstructed Bloodhound. That would be kind of cool.
I definitely agree with that one. I'm looking at the skins right now, and I like the Bloodhound Wise Warrior, I think it's called.
Yeah,
that
looks
one
cool.
looks absolutely sick. It kind of looks, I don't know if it's just the picture or the angle, but it looks like it has like a beak or something. I can't really tell.
It looks like the Revenant legendary skin, like the little bird looking.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's like it's a mix of Bloodhound and Arthur. It's like a bird thing.
Yeah.
But okay, so I'm kind of confused. I went through this and I don't really understand. So they say finally the Old Ways event marks the return of the legendary hunt skins. So it's all of the legendary hunt skins just normally? They're going to be available for direct purchase. Anybody can buy them now. I don't really understand that.
Well, it's going to be, most of them are returning, but with like recolored versions. That's it.
Okay, because it says all of the legendary hunt skins, all 8 of them, will be on offer for direct purchase, in addition to 2 recolored variants of the Wraith and Arthurian skins. So, wow.
Answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of shocked by that. I don't really see the point there.
I don't either.
In recolored skins?
No, I'm bringing back the event skins. Like, why bring back that event skins instead of making all new?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
I blame COVID.
Oh,
And
no.
they also like, I had so many people in my comments that were upset that the original, if they are going to bring that event skin back, like the whole event is about Bloodhound. They didn't even bring back the original Bloodhound skin. I had a lot of people, I think it was called the Centurion or whatever. A lot of people in my chat were just so upset about that because, they're all Bloodhound fans, excited for the Bloodhound event finally. And yeah, but it is what it is. They have a lot of cool ones to choose from now.
I want to touch back on something I mentioned kind of briefly earlier in the podcast, is probably the biggest thing that actually came out today. I know we got the stories from the Outlands and announcement about the town takeover and all that, but we're getting duos and Kings Canyon like rotation with World's Edge and pubs permanently, which is a huge. So, yeah, exactly. So what do you guys think about them just all of a sudden adding duos in permanently? I mean, that's not a decision they can go back on. That, like, if they go back on that and they take duos away, I'd be pretty angry. But what do you guys think about that? Are you guys excited for duos?
I think, hell yeah. Thank you, Respawn. You're listening to the community. You're learning. You're realizing that why would we not want permanent duos? Why would we not want that option? Thank you for finally adding it. They're doing it right.
Yeah, I think it was really good for them to add, and it's something that they should have done probably a little sooner, but it's definitely the right decision here. They've already mentioned multiple times that duos was more successful than solos, and it made more sense because at the end of the day, Apex is a team-based game. But I do think solos should still be next on the list. They should work on how they can incorporate it. I know it's a little awkward because everyone's just going to float to Pathfinder or Wraith or something like that. But I think that they're doing a pretty good job of balancing some legends now. But I think duos, man, it was just such a good decision. They've mentioned multiple times how duos did work for the game. I think they were just kind of figuring out how they can implement it. I'm also a little confused, though, on the split, or not the split, but the map rotation. Like, it kind of sounded like you'd be able to choose the map you want, or I don't know if it's like certain weeks, different maps come in and out. How exactly is that going to work? Because I feel like the player base, with there not being crossplay, I feel like it's just not big enough to have ranked or pubs and duos on 2 different maps. I feel like you're just going to have too many people split, and it could be, some slower queue times.
Yeah, I'm just overall curious about how exactly they're going to go about rotating the map. They didn't really explain in the description or announcement about that. They didn't explain how it was going to happen. So I'm just curious about what it's going to be. Is it going to be a vote? Like, what if it's you all get into the lobby and then you vote on the map?
That would be.
I think that one would be a pretty cool way to do it. But also, there's the option of them just going and taking the basic route, the easy route, I would say, and just letting you choose. like before you even queue up, like you pick which map you want to be on, which I think wouldn't be bad. But then again, I don't know how it would really work, like if it would end up being.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it was just random, like you don't ever see it, you just join a game and then
Good
it
point.
picks for
Good point. Yeah, I didn't even really
It
think
could be
about
that
that.
too. Or like
Okay,
one
yeah.
day, like, all right, Monday is gonna be Kings Canyon, Tuesday is gonna be World's Edge. Like, I mean, at this point, we don't know what it could be, but all the things we brought up about what it could be are definitely an option.
Yeah, true.
All right, I do want to mention before we end off the podcast in a little bit, I want to mention to you guys, go check out the podcast. If you guys are on YouTube, make sure to go check out that top link in the description. We're now on Spotify, and go listen over there to the audio version. It's just as good as the video version. Make sure to definitely go check out that link in the description.
It comes out a day
And
early.
and you get it a day.
Yeah, that's another plus to the audio version on Spotify. They're almost always uploaded 24 hours before the YouTube version is uploaded, so you can get a little sneak peek or just listen to the whole thing almost a day, or pretty much over a day in advance, which is really cool as well. So make sure to check out that Spotify link down in the description and listen to the SquadCast podcast over there. But I do want to get onto the SquadCast question of the podcast. Before I get into that, though, make sure to comment down below with your questions with the hashtag question in the comment section so we can find you, and you will have the chance of getting your question answered on the next podcast, as well as getting a shout out. So it is pretty cool. Make sure to comment down below your questions. I'm sure we're going to be having a lot of them, probably because of Bloodhound and that type of stuff. So make sure to let us know down in the comment section below. But on to this question of the podcast. This one is from AL Alcala. I can't really I can't pronounce that, not gonna lie. I'm just gonna say
Shout out to
ALK.
Alcala.
Yeah, just shout out to Alcala for the question. Shout out to you, man. Thank you for sending in your question for the Squadcast. But he said, as a Mirage main, can a buff for Mirage that would make him viable for the teamwork or even in the competitive scene? So I'm assuming what he meant was, is there a buff for Mirage that would make him viable for teamwork or even in the competitive scene, and what would it be? And he said, as a Mirage main, so I'm assuming this is more directed towards you, Loot. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts on this. Like, what type of buff would make him viable for teamwork or even in the competitive scene?
As for teamwork, I have no idea really how he can be viable for teamwork without just a complete rework, you know? So
Yeah.
I am thinking this off the top of my head. I have not thought about this. I know we already picked the question, but I didn't actually think about it. I just wanted to think off my cuff. And I think since he's an offensive character, the play for Mirage is just going to be to buff him offensively through the roof. And one of the ways to do that, I think, is by making his ultimate be the same thing that we saw from Dummy's Day Out, or whatever it was called, where it was the dancing thing, or it would make a bunch of copies of you and they would all be aiming and moving around, copying your movement. I think that would really buff him offensively to where he could be almost similar to Wraith, just that powerful of a character, because in a fight that is so confusing to fight a team that has something like that happening. I think that would be like the biggest boost to his character. What about you guys?
Yeah,
what do you think? You have any thoughts on stuff like that?
I also want to say like this. I've always been under the impression, and I do stand by it, that there are certain legends that are best for ranked. And yes, it's true, but there's a big difference between watching the pros play and all use the same legends versus a, mid-tier, low-tier, even high-tier ranked gameplay. And the reason I say that is because I've been playing a lot of ranked lately and seeing a lot of diamonds, a lot of Apex Predators. I think they're just now getting masters now because people are finally filling into the top 500. But I've been seeing people play like so many different legends. Like there was a Apex Predator that was playing Mirage that was doing really, really good. I saw people playing Caustic. I saw people playing Gibraltar, Pathfinder, Wraith, Watson, and a lot of people say, oh, should we be using this legend? Should we be using these three legends? It doesn't really matter. It's more focused on how you play with those legends. You can't have the same play style with every single legend. They all have different play styles. So if you learn how to play a specific legend, you really can try to implement them. But like, I do think Mirage could use a buff to be used more often, but there are people that are actually using Mirage at a high level that are doing pretty well with him. It comes more down to your decision making based upon his abilities and not trying to play Mirage like you would play Wraith, because you have to play them differently. But I think a buff that he could use is probably, I mean, I really can't get any better than Loot's idea. Is I think his ultimate just needs to be a little bit more effective, or maybe even his decoys instead of, I feel like it's so easy to tell a Mirage decoy.
Yeah.
There's a decoy that they have. Don't hate on me for this, okay? But there is a decoy grenade thing in Fortnite. Oh, everybody's going crazy.
Oh my god.
But it actually mimics your movement. So instead of sending a fake decoy out, it's like a clone of you that mimics what you're doing, but it's not the real you, if that makes sense. So like when you aim and you shoot and you build, it does everything that you're doing, but it's just not the real you. So that could really throw people off if they did something like that. But I think Loot hit the nail on the head.
I definitely see a positive towards that type of aspect of having them actually move along with you, because it is pretty obvious when you do see a clone. But one thing I've always thought since like the beginning of the game, I've always thought that his tactical honestly could use somewhat of a buff if you were like, you're not using your clones all the time. You're not really just, I mean, some people do, they just always have one running around even if they're not running into people. But one thing I've always thought that would be cool is if you could stock up on his clones or his tactical, so you could have like 2 or maybe even 3 over time. You would actually be able to use multiple. So like
that's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not using your tactical, then it can keep stacking up over time and you can get like 2 or 3, and then you could deploy them all at once or one after another. I think that would actually kind of add to his teamwork. Maybe you could deploy one each with your teammates, maybe distract people like that. So I think that would be a cool type of addition. I haven't really seen anybody else say anything like that, so I definitely think that is probably the best buff I could think of. So again, shout out to you, Alcala, for the question. Thank you so much for sending in your question, as well as everybody else. Make sure to comment down below, #question, and you can get a chance to get featured in the next SquadCast podcast. But one more thing we do want to talk about before we end off this podcast is something pretty big that has to do with a potential new character. Obviously, I say potential since all of this is leaked and data mined and not 100% confirmed. But as you guys know, in the Season 4 cinematic trailer, we saw a little tease for Loba, as well as there's just been a ton of stuff leaked for Loba in the past, all of her abilities, and even an animation for her tactical, I'm pretty sure Loot was able to get and render out in the files. But we did recently get some more stuff about Loba, and I want you to go ahead and explain that for us, Loot, since you're the king of leaks, you're the data miner here.
Okay, well, this was an interesting situation, and I haven't talked to people on my own YouTube channel about it yet. But I guess I'll have my first public speaking about it on here with you guys, and I can also get your guys' feedback on it. So these guys all knew that I had found something on Loba at the beginning of March. I had the finishers already, but I have been trying to make an effort to keep conversation with the devs at Respawn to try to prevent big spoilers. And so I contacted them. I said, look, I have this information. I don't think anyone's going to be able to find it. Would you guys want to just remove it? Because I think it might be spoiling too much of what the character's like. And they said, yes, it's too big of a spoiler. Please don't do that. We will have it removed on the patch date at the beginning of April. I said, okay, cool. Sounds good. So we sat back. It comes to the end of the month, and Shrugtal found it. And so I give credit for Shrugtal finding it. And I did speak with him, and I told him what happened, and he understood it was too late, so it doesn't really matter. But I didn't, it's something that I fight with. Do I just find everything I can and just release everything and just spoil as much as I can because that's what I do? Or do I hold back because there was a lot of backlash when I released that screenshot of Forge killing or not Forge being killed by Revenant. There was a lot of backlash from the community on that, and so trying to move forward. This is a company, Respawn is very gracious. They don't come after us for posting leaks. They don't do stuff like that other companies do. They don't DMCA people. They don't sue people. And so I don't want to make an enemy out of them. I want the game to grow. It's hard to really balance this, but Anyway, so that's something I would like to see some comments on and see what you guys think about that and discuss that with you guys. But first, let me go ahead and say what the leak was. So the first one, we only have the animation for what the victim looks like in these finishers. It's 2 finishers. And one, the victim's on the ground crawling, and it's called Point Blank. And you can see that obviously Loba is shooting them in the face point blank and they're dying. And the other one is called Stomp, I believe. And they're on the ground trying to crawl away. And then you see their neck being snapped all of a sudden. So what that gives us is a lot of information on Loba's character. You can tell that she's going to be very brutal. She's going to be probably very angry. I would think kind of like an opposite of Revenant, or not opposite, but like, you know, she's the female version of Revenant because they're both very brutal characters. So I'm excited about that because we already have a super nice one in Watson. We need a one that's just super, super badass. And I think that's going to be Loba. But so I'd love to get your guys' input on both of those things that I mentioned, the finishers and my dilemma.
Your dilemma, you're in a hard spot, but I think you're handling it really, really well, and I think you should keep on doing what you're doing so far. But as far as the Loba finishers go, and her being like you said, sort of a female version of Revenant, being like really brutal, those finishers are vicious. She's scaring me when I just look at those finishers. Those are brutal, and I think it's going to be cool to have sort of, again, like you said, a female version of Revenant. Not saying that their abilities are going to be similar or anything like that, but it's just cool to have an aggressive, vicious, brutal legend that'll be coming out, hopefully, I believe, in season 5.
I think you also mentioned something that I haven't really thought about. No one's really talked about a lot. Is huge props to Respawn for, you know, not for being so relaxed about this compared to other companies. You know, they really have been super gracious with this game and with the YouTube community with all of this. So that's something that I think goes unnoticed a lot. People kind of take advantage of them for that, you know, for that niceness about them. And someone said a long time ago, don't mistake kindness for weakness. So, you know, that's not something that we should take that and just start running all over Respawn and just spoiling the entire game, which I've probably kind of not understood until, you know, you just kind of mentioned that right there. So it makes a lot of sense. And, you know, once again, huge props to Respawn for being the company that they are.
Yeah, it definitely sucks sometimes when things get leaked and they're real big like this. But I mean, full shout outs to Respawn. Everything they do is absolutely amazing. And I mean, even recently, they've been doing even better with kind of hiding the leaks and making it so you can't really find them as well, which I think is absolutely amazing. I mean, it sucks that sometimes things like this happen, but you know, it's gonna happen. And I'm just happy that Respawn is pretty understanding with these types of things. And I mean, honestly, hopefully in the future there won't be as many leaks, to be honest, so it's more of a surprise. But I definitely think they've already done really good with that, so shout outs to them, because I'm still really surprised about Loba. I don't really know what to expect overall. I was honestly even surprised with Revenant, which was definitely exciting as well. But one thing about these finishers though, that like since they were leaked, I do want to say about these finishers, they don't really seem like anything really too special to me. Like, I mean, she's literally curb stomping somebody and then she shoots somebody in the face. So I personally don't really see anything too special about the finishers, but they do kind of make for a good basis, I would say. Like that, those are two type of classic, I mean, executioner type moves, if I were to think of something like that, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, because like Lifeline, when you look at like Lifeline's finishers, they're so unique. You know, they're so different. Like sticking the needle into someone's head and then shocking them with a drone, like that stuff that's like super, like just like I said, unique. And Loba's is pretty generic, but maybe that's just to show how like blunt force, you know, just straight up Loba is, you know, just about business and about, you know, being brutal. So but I understand, and I think also it kind of takes away from the fact that those leaks are not showing Loba herself, so you can't really see Loba's aggression like you can when that game actually releases it. So I think maybe your opinion will probably change like mine a little bit whenever you're actually able to see her character model perform the execution.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like imagine if it's her doing like a front flip and then stomping on them. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Didn't even really think about anything like that. Yeah.
That's very true. And I think the real thing is that we get a glimpse at she's out for revenge. You know, she's that little girl who saw her parents murdered by Revenant, and she's in the games for revenge. And so I think that was more of what they're concerned about rather than actually seeing the content. They didn't want to spoil just how angry she's going to be. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that one. But I think we're going to go ahead and end the podcast off here. Thank you guys so much for listening to the SquadCast podcast, episode number 16. And if you guys did enjoy, make sure to hit that like button. It really does help us out a ton, and it's completely free. As well as if you guys don't want to miss out on any other podcasts, we will have a lot coming up soon. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. We just hit 9,000 subscribers over on YouTube. So thank you guys very much for the support. We'll definitely be having a lot more content coming out as well for you guys. And also don't forget to hit that notification bell so you guys don't miss out on them. But also, before I end it off, make sure to go check out the podcast on Spotify as well. It'll be the top link in the description. But I think we're going to go ahead and end it off here, guys. It's been the SquadCast, and we're out of here. Bye.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Peace out.
Goodbye.
Later.